Welcome to the Filmed Live Musicals podcast, a podcast about stage musicals that have been legally filmed and publicly distributed. The Filmed Live Musicals website contains information on nearly 200 musicals that have been captured live. Check it out at filmedlivemusicals.com. And now, on with the show. With over 40 years in show business, our guest this week is a theatrical triple threat and then some. Singer, actor, dancer, producer, entrepreneur, director, and author. She has performed around the world and on multiple Broadway shows, starting in 1976 with the African-American version of Guys and Dolls, and moving on to But Never Jam Today, the original production of Dreamgirls, Cats, Smokey Joe's Cafe, for which she received a Tony nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Musical, and Chicago. She has appeared in film and television in The Wiz, Third Watch, Smash, Nurse Jackie, and The Good Fight. She is the founder of several organizations that all seek to empower people to lead their best lives, including Leading Ladies Just for Teens, the B. Braxton Exceptional Grooming for Exceptional Men in Harlem, and Act 2, Now What? She is also the author of The Little Black Book of Backstage Etiquette. Welcome to the Filmed Live Musicals podcast, Brenda Braxton.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm good.
Wonderful. So you have an amazing career, and I feel almost guilty that we're going to focus on just two shows in that amazing career.
That's okay.
But I wanted to start with When Hell Freezes Over, I'll Skate.
Yes.
Back in 1979 with the Urban Arts Corps. Can you tell us a little bit about the Urban Arts Corps?
The Urban Arts Corps, it's so funny. I started out as a dancer, and I joined a couple of dance companies. And through the dance companies, I met other actors, like not dancers, but actors. And they kind of said, there's Urban Arts Corps. There's this organization downtown called Urban Arts Corps. It's led by Vanette Carroll, who did Your Arms Too Short to Box with God, Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. And they need dancers. So back then, you just said yes to everything. So it was down on 20th Street, and it was this little black box theater. I mean, really small. And we did But Never Jam Today, and we did a version of Alice in Wonderland with Debbie Allen and Alice Ghostly. And so a lot of original things came out of the Urban Arts Corps. And then Vanette got the idea that she wanted to do a show that was kind of based around all of the African-American poets. And we literally sat for hours and hours and hours just combing through all kinds of poetry and spoken word and just everything, and music, original music, some spirituals, well-known spirituals, things like that. And we came up with When Hell Freezes Over, I'll Skate. And it was one of the best experiences I've had, because as a dancer, it made me stretch into a whole another field of knowing what the poetry was, and putting dance to poetry and putting dance to music. And back then, either you were a singer or you were a dancer or you were an actor. And this gave us a chance to just pretty much put it all together. So it was a lot of fun.
So that opened at the Urban Arts Corps in early 1979, is that right?
Yeah, I want to say 78, 79, because I was there for a while. Yeah, it must have been, and I can't even remember, because I did the Wiz movie too, and I can't remember if it was before the Wiz movie or after the Wiz movie, before Dreamgirls. It all mushes together after a while,
Do you remember when it was filmed, when Hell Freezes Over, I'll Skate was filmed?
Oh, God. Trick questions. I don't. I just know it was a big deal, because I believe it was at the Mitzi Newhouse Theater. And it was a big deal because at the Urban Arts Corps, we just kind of put stuff together. We put costumes together, our own clothing and stuff like this. But this was a big deal because they gave us costumes, we had fittings, and it was done like a real production. And we had the band on stage. So it was the first time that I had worked on an off-Broadway show that actually had that kind of fanfare when we closed it down. So,
and it was Theater in America, right? That filmed the production.
Yeah. Way back.
And do you recall what the process was in the lead up to filming? Was the show changed for television as it was
Not
originally
so
at
much.
UAC?
No, not so much because we didn't really have a set even when we did it down at the Urban Arts Corps. It was pretty much the same. The only thing that changed was just kind of like the production values with the costumes and with the lighting and all of that. So it was great.
Were you directed to perform it the same as you had on stage? Was it a different performance for film and for the cameras versus being on stage?
Well, it didn't really feel different because, as an editor, everything is done in the editing room. So we basically were able to perform the show with the different cameras, and then they did the editing afterwards. So we
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have to worry about too many camera angles and all of that because they had everything there. And then they just put it all together, and we were really surprised, happily, pleasantly surprised, because sometimes, and especially back then in the 70s, they were just really starting out doing those kinds of things, so to be able to do a piece like that and have it really come off as a professional piece of theater that just happened to be filmed was really good. I was very proud of the work that we did, and I think they recorded it. We might have had 3 performances, and then from those 3 performances they edited it down to what we came up with.
And they were all filmed with a live audience in the
Yes.
theater?
Yes, which was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I feel like the capture really is able to capture that exchange of energy between the
Mm-hmm.
audience and the
Absolutely.
performers.
And you kind of marry the two together because a lot of times when you're doing film or television, you don't have an audience. And so you don't get that immediate feedback from the audience. And then when you're in front of a live audience, you don't have to worry about camera angles and what you can't do and can do. So putting them together was really a great experience of having that immediate feedback of the audience laughing when they should and applauding when they should. It was really great experience.
So with the Wiz was before.
I think the Wiz movie was before that. I want to say before that. That was a whole nother experience. 400 dancers.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That must have been
Just
so
unbelievable.
thrilling.
It was a lot of hard work. And it's so funny because I was reminded the other day that because there were so many dancers, they ended up having to change our contracts because we were doing like a lot of work. We were doing a lot of rehearsals and a lot of dancing, and a lot of work. And originally we were hired just as kind of like background dancers and everything, but we were ending up putting in so many hours that we were like, yeah, no, we've got to change this contract.
Yeah.
We have to get more money. We've got to get our breaks. We have to get all of that. So we ended up, I think we ended up changing the whole way they did the ensemble performers.
Was When Hell Freezes Over, I'll Skate equity?
Yes, it was equity. I believe it was equity. Because we were all equity performers. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine that they allowed us to not be compensated. God, it seems like so long ago. We're talking, what, if it was 77? That's, oh, Jesus.
Well,
I feel so old right now.
I almost don't want to say, but I was born in 84 and I'm
Oh my
35. So
why'd you do
nearly
that to me? Wow. Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
yes, I realize I'm asking you to recall details from quite before
From
my
another
lifetime.
Yes. Oh wow.
It's so extraordinary when you think about now that equity tends to be quite reluctant. I know that is shifting, but there is a reluctance to film theater. Was there a reluctance around When Hell Freezes Over, I'll Skate, or because it was a smaller show, it wasn't really on the radar?
Yeah, I think because it was kind of groundbreaking, and so nobody really knew what the rules were for an off Broadway show like that and filming it and everything. So we were groundbreakers. And I don't think it was that much of a problem. I do remember when they wanted to record Jelly's Last Jam, we had more of a problem because well, Gregory was like, yeah, no, we're not recording it. We're not going to film it. And I remember having a big meeting about it, and they ended up not recording it. And then I think they they did it for the archives, of course, for Lincoln Center
for the Lincoln
archives.
Center.
Right.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do it almost like they did Smokey Joe's Cafe, bring in the audience and things. And Gregory was like, nope, because you're not going to compensate us enough to have that kind of filming done. And
so
because
it was financial.
It was financial, and it was also, again, it was groundbreaking. So they did not have certain things in place as to how they were going to do it, So he was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do this. I was like,
that's really interesting. So it wasn't from an artistic perspective that filming theater means it's not theater. It was purely financial.
It was more financial. Yeah. Even with Smokey Joe's, when they decided to film it, we went through a lot as far as what kind of compensation, because you're talking a couple of different unions. You're talking equity, AFTRA, a little bit of SAG, and it was in the very, very beginnings of, okay, you're going to record this and you're going to make money off of this. You're going to make a lot of money off of this. So how do the actors get compensated? And I still feel that it wasn't done properly, but we also wanted it to be archived in that kind of way, because Smokey Joe's was one of the first jukebox shows, and it was done so well that we really, really wanted it to be, remembered in a certain way. So I think now negotiations should go differently, because people are making money off of it. I know that in Europe, they've been playing it. They've been playing it like all over the world, and we don't really get anything for it. We got a one-time fee, and that was it. So that can't be fair. That's not fair. That's not right.
Yeah, it is a very tricky balance that the financials make it so expensive to be filming in the first place is very expensive. Exactly. And then the residuals and how that works. And now with streaming, it's completely changed everything.
Exactly.
Because you can't control the number of times it's going to be streamed. Well, you can. There are companies that are limiting the streams.
That are doing that right, but still.
Yeah.
And bootleg.
It's very tricky.
That's crazy. Just how many bootleg versions of it, So,
yeah.
But I'm glad I was able to do both of them. The Jelly/Jam and not Jellies, but When Hell Freezes Over and Smokey Joe's. Smokey Joe's.
Did you watch it when it aired live on TV? The first when Hell Freezes Over Our Skate. Did you watch it when it aired?
Oh yeah. Because we were like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to put it together? Because all we did was perform, So then to see, oh my God, look at how they did that. So it was fun. A lot of fun.
And was it your first time seeing the show from the outside? Because when you're performing, you're just on stage the whole time.
Yeah. So it was our first time. And to sit and watch it and to know the kind of work that we put into it, because it literally was hours and hours of just combing through poems, just Langston Hughes and all of those. And to see how we were able to put this original show together and then to actually perform it and be able to film it. That was great. And work with Vanette. Vanette was an amazing woman. She really was. So.
Such a trailblazer and
absolutely
important person in the history of women in theater and women on Broadway, and particularly women of color.
Yeah. And you don't really you don't hear about her. She was the first African-American woman to direct a play, I believe, and to be nominated for a Tony, I think she was. So it would be nice for them to do something in honor of her.
I would love to. Actually, When Hell Freezes Over Our Skate, when I was rewatching it recently, it's available on DVD for people that want to go and look for it. So it's even more prescient today. And with Black Lives Matter and everything that's happening in our world right now, it's a show I would love to see revived.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched it recently as well. And the song that Cleavant wrote, I Survive, if you listen to those lyrics, it's amazing. I mean, because he gives a whole history lesson in that song. I've survived. I'm a cotton gin inventor. I'm the real McCoy, no water boy. The lyrics are amazing. So it is very apropos for what's going on today of just being recognized for everything that we've contributed,
I hope like Broadway HD or one of the bigger networks, Netflix, picks up either that recording from 1979 or invests in a new production.
Doing a new one, yeah.
Ooh,
that would be fun
important.
too. Yeah, to do it. Well, now with COVID, God, oh Lord Jesus, how long? What are we gonna do about anything nowadays? But
it's actually a perfect show for COVID because you could do it socially distanced because it's being the new style and it's you could have everyone kind of in a separate space, not a big cast. I'm just saying.
You're right. And again, with editing, putting it all together would just be pretty easy.
Absolutely. What was the reaction to When Hell Freezes Over Oscar?
Oh, they loved it. They loved it. Yeah, because it was so theatrical, yet a teaching tool, yet something that we were so proud of. We were really, really proud of what we had done back then. And our audience, the demographic that ended up being able to come see it and be proud of it. We were happy to have been able to have an audience like that at Lincoln Center. Even if it was in one of the smaller theaters, but still being able to do that was great. It was a great
So was it remounted at Lincoln Center for the filming, or was it a separate run that just they happened to film that run?
No, we did a separate run down at the Urban Arts Corps, and then they decided they wanted to do it. So it was remounted at the Mitzi Newhouse, but with just minor kinds of changes. Because at Urban Arts Corps, we did everything. Almost everything was just a bare stage, and it's kind of picture yourself, and But yeah, so it filled up a different type of space, but it was still very, very much a bare stage, and we just as the performers made the little different sections and different feels and the changes in lighting, because we didn't have a lot of lighting down at the Urban Arts Course. So Vanette was able to do a lot more with the lighting and sectioning places that really made you feel a little more intimate on one part of the stage, or that we couldn't really do at the Urban Arts Corps, but it was still kind of bare. The stage was bare,
I'm ashamed that I don't know this, but does the Urban Arts Corps, does that theater still exist?
No, it's gone. Yeah, it's been gone for a while.
It's a shame that the show couldn't be recorded there, because that is such an important part of New York's history too.
Absolutely.
And American theater history. It's a shame that space couldn't be captured on film.
Yeah. I don't know if we were able to film anything in that space, because it was literally such a small, narrow space. Literally so small.
A tiny black box.
Yeah, really, a black box. And it's like everything is just right there. You turn, oh, that's the dressing room. Or you turn again, oh, that's the audience.
Oh, there you are.
You're in the bathroom.
Please do not flush during the show.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah.
When you filmed at Lincoln Center, how many cameras were in the setup?
I want to say we had at least 4 cameras, because we had 2 main cameras, and then we had cameras that were movable. I'm trying to think if they had those body cameras where you could move and just, but I might be getting it mixed up with something else.
Yeah.
But they had. It was good. It was an interesting experience from what I remember.
Okay, so let's fast forward to Smokey Joe's Cafe, which opened in 1995 and ran for 5 years. And then the final performance was filmed. Is that right?
Yes, I believe the final 2 performances were filmed. Yeah. And the funny story goes with that. So most of the originals were still there, by the time we were leaving, well, by the time the show was closing. And we were so ready to go. We were so tired and just so ready to go. But the whole time, once we found out we were filming it, I was like, fine, let's get it filmed. Fine, let's do it. I'm so sick and tired of this. And they were like, oh, you're going to miss this. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm sick of all of y'all, right?
I never want to see a red feather boa ever again.
ever. Shimmy dress, no. I don't want to see you shimmying, Dali, no. So the day of the first performance, I start, here's a picture of the neighborhood, and I could barely get it out. I was so emotional. They laughed at me so hard. They were like, oh, so you wanted out. You wanted to leave. You're tired of us, huh? I was like, leave me alone. I don't care. It was so emotional to realize, oh my God, I've spent 5 years with these people, like on the road. Wow. We were in Chicago, we were in LA, and this is the end of it. Oh my God. They laughed at me so hard.
I'm always the crier on the last night of a show.
Yes.
You get so emotional, it becomes a part of your soul.
Because it's family. If you spend any more than a year with a cast, it's family. You argue, you might have seen babies born, deaths in the family, all kinds of stuff. And by then, Patty wasn't with us, Patty Darcy Jones. She didn't do the last final videos with us. And Michael Park had left already. And so we had a couple of the so-called white guys and, a couple of Patties. But we still it was myself, Victor Trent Cook, BJ, Adrian, Kennard, Fred, Dali. So it was still, the majority of us were still there. And it was like, oh my goodness, we're done.
I'm not going to see these people 8 times a week anymore.
I still see them. We still get on each other's nerves, because we are family. But being in that space and every night just dealing with the, prayer circle before the show, stuff like that was just going to be gone. But the audience, oh my God, the audience went wild.
You can see it on the recording,
yes.
The standing ovations and people calling out from the audience.
Yeah. It was quite an experience. And as I said in the beginning, we broke ground on so many levels with Smokey Joe's Cafe. We had one time where they wanted us to sing the national anthem for one of the ball games, but it was like really, really close to showtime. They ended up, we sang the national anthem. They had, the audience was at the theater, and they videoed us singing the national anthem. And then as the audience was sitting there, they watched us get into the limousines and drive back to the theater. And they caught us coming into the theater, and the audience went wild. So we started the show a little late because they were watching us sing the anthem and come into the theater. And then we started the show. They lost their minds. It was an amazing. I'm getting chills thinking about it right now.
My heart is racing thinking about the adrenaline of going from one to the other and being show ready and
just my gosh, the audience, because the audience watched the whole thing, and they had us coming
broadcast it in the theater.
And they had us coming into the audience and then going backstage, and it was amazing.
That is, my heart is racing. The logistics of that and navigating New York traffic and limousines.
Yes, I want to say we had a police escort because we had to get through traffic in order to get to. Because I remember. I want to say sirens or something, but it was amazing. We sang a lot of the ball games, the anthems for the ball games. Yeah.
Okay, I need to find video of that. That is amazing.
I know.
Do you which game was it?
Oh God, I don't know.
Sports. It was a sports team.
Who pitched? I
I don't know either. I want to find the video of you singing the anthem. I'm sure I
Yes,
can find it. That's going to be a deep
probably.
dive for me.
Yes. If you do, let me know because it was so much
Oh,
fun.
absolutely. I will send it to you.
Yeah. And then the Tony Awards too. They had the guys do on Broadway for the Tony Awards and they had them outside coming into the theater. Oh my God, that night was bittersweet though. That night was a little bittersweet because we didn't get to perform. None of us, and four of us were nominated and we didn't get to perform. The only performance you saw was the opening with the guys coming in on Broadway. We were supposed to perform Woman, and we were literally backstage getting ready to go on to perform Woman. And they said, "Oh, we got to cut you." And we were like, "What do you mean you have to cut us? Three of us who are getting ready to sing are nominated for Tony Awards." And they were like, "We don't have enough time. We got to cut you." We were in costume and everything. Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly after the show. Our producers
devastating.
Yeah.
I imagine they were fuming.
They were fuming. Yeah. And then once they cut us, then we had to go and sit back in the audience and wait for them to say, and the nominees for and sit there knowing that we didn't even get to perform or do anything. Yeah, it was ugly.
That's devastating. And
I know.
I mean, the show ran for 5 years, so it didn't exactly suffer. But the boost that in ticket sales that shows get from performing at the Tony Awards, it's I mean, not free advertising, but it's inverted commas free advertising. For the show, and it's this is why I'm so passionate about filming theater is that it gives a chance for people who aren't in New York or who can't afford to get to the theater or who for whatever reason are limited and cannot get to the theater.
Right.
The Tonys is like the one night of the year when people get to see Broadway.
Absolutely. The best of
I'm
Broadway.
very curious I'm very curious what will happen this year with the new
they're trying to
ceremony.
Still do it because I'm a Tony voter now. So my last year was my first year. And then this year, I only got to see a couple of shows before we went into lockdown. But they're trying to do some sort of Tony broadcast something. So they told us to stay in touch. And literally today I got something saying, okay, give us your address, your present address. And, so we'll see what happens. It was so much fun last year. Oh my God. Oh, I got to see every single show. Got to go to the Tony Awards. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
My very first show in New York was 2008. I grew up in Australia, so
I was at the accent. I was going to ask you what is that?
It's a little bit of everything. I've been here for almost 10 years now, so my Australian accent's not very strong. But my very first show in New York City was the 2008 Tony Awards.
Oh my goodness!
And I sat in the very back row of Radio City Hall and watched Jerry Herman get his Lifetime Achievement Award and Patti LuPone won her Tony. Like it was
amazing.
It made this world that I had grown up listening to on cast albums and watching videos. I grew up watching Into the Woods on VHS. And, it was real.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's quite a ceremony, and just everything up to it it's amazing. It is theater. It really is. It's Broadway. It is Broadway. And it's so unfortunate that the performers from this season are not going to get to really experience that. They're not going to have that whole experience. And just a couple of shows that I saw, like I did get to see Tina Turner, that, and I'm like, to have done all of that and now not have a chance to reap the benefits in this way,
Yeah. And the shows that didn't get to open yet. Company and Six was hours from curtain.
I know.
When the shutdown happened, they were due to open on March 12th, and then the shutdown.
Mrs.
I can't imagine.
All of those.
Yep.
All of those. And now someone said to me, some of those kids that were going to be in Mrs. Doubtfire, they're going to be too old and too big to even play some of these roles if they decide to bring it back, to really try and do it. So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So
It's
unfortunate.
incredible times that we're living in. What is
Absolutely.
Broadway going to look like when we come back?
Yeah.
How many people are going to be allowed in the theater? What shows are going to
Yeah.
reopen?
And as it is, they're saying they're not going to do anything until next year.
Hmm.
So that's a long time.
Yeah.
You can't really take class. You can't, you're trying to keep everything lubricated and ready for that next one. But
Yeah.
next year they're talking 2021. So
Yeah.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, scary.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah,
This shut Broadway has never been shut down for this long,
ever,
ever.
ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever, ever. And it's like a ghost town down there too.
Mm.
It's so sad. It's so sad. But I'm a great believer that everything happens for a reason. Because I also feel like Broadway was getting out of hand as far as ticket prices, as far as, I mean, everything. It was just getting out of hand. And we also often said Broadway wasn't making stars anymore. They were just plugging names in, to
Mm.
see how much money they could make with this name, this star name. They weren't making stars anymore. Broadway used to make stars, you know, but who knows? Maybe they'll go back to that now. See,
Yeah.
see.
And I really hope that, as we were talking about before, like the movements that are happening during shutdown, like Black
Mm-hmm.
Lives Matter and
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, Me Too,
Mm-hmm.
that
That
I
makes a
hope that this
difference.
is an opportunity for the producers and the
Mm-hmm.
companies to sit back and say the way things were running was not
Mm-hmm.
equitable. It wasn't fair.
Yep.
It was very discriminatory.
Yep.
How can we make
Absolutely.
how can we truly make theater more accessible
Yeah. Yeah.
and more the egalitarian place that it claims to be?
Yep. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So let's switch back to Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Uh-huh.
When did you find out that it was going to be filmed?
Um, it all happened pretty fast. I would say like maybe a couple of weeks. And the thing that took the most time was the contracts and the fact of, okay, you want to record this. We know we have an amazing show and we know that it could make money as a DVD. So how do we get compensated for this? And we ended up as a cast having to get our own attorney and negotiate our own terms and things like that. And again, I
Wow.
still say, because it was so early on in the process of filming Broadway shows, um, I'm not sure we made the best deal, but
Hmm.
it it still put us in a position of folks know us. We're like history makers in a sense. When people see us, I know when people see me, they know me as Brenda the Boa girl, the Boa woman, the woman with the boa, all over the place. Like I was doing a cruise ship right before all of this happened too. And the people from all over, when I did my cabaret on the ship, they knew what Smokey Joe's Cafe was. You know what I mean? Because of the
Yeah.
DVD, and the DVD is all over the place, and
Mhm.
YouTube and all of that. So people knew who I was from that, and I feel like, as you were saying, people in different countries or different cities or state, whatever, would not have gotten to really see that kind of performance of Smokey Joe's Cafe if it were not filmed. So you have six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You don't want to feel like you're being exploited, but you know that it's a good thing because people get to see this wonderful body of work. So it went pretty fast. I think the negotiating was the thing that really held it up mostly.
That must have
So,
been a whirlwind. The final few weeks of the show,
hmm
you're getting ready to wrap up. You're emotionally preparing for that, and
yeah,
then negotiating with a lawyer and equity
yeah.
and all the different
But
unions.
also, one of the sad things was we were still doing pretty good work. I mean, pretty good houses. And from what I
Hmm.
understand, they wanted our theater for the next show coming in, which was supposed to be this big Wild Party was the show. And they just thought
Huh.
Wild Party was going to be this amazing thing and they needed our theater. So someone told me that we were still at least 70% our house was still and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So most of us would have stayed on. We were tired, but we would have stayed on, taking our vacation and come back. But they were like, nope, we're closing it down. So we were like, wow, okay. So that was another reason why we were like, okay, well, we'll get a chance to archive this and have it out here at least.
Mm. Had it already been filmed for Lincoln Center for the archives?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's in, because they do that pretty early on so that they can get original people,
Yeah. Did you, I know I asked this question with When Hell Freezes Over Our Skate, but did you have to change any aspects of the performance for the cameras?
No. No, they were just there. Whatever we did, they were right there filming it. So, yeah, I mean, we had our rehearsals, so we knew where they were going to be. They knew where we were going to be. And I think that's what I'm thinking about the cameraman who had the body camera, because they were all over the place, And so we rehearsed it. I want to say we rehearsed it maybe for a week, just so that everyone knew where everyone was going to be. And then they edited it, and it came out to be really, really cool.
Oh, it's really a gorgeous capture.
Yeah.
As an actor who has worked in film and TV and in theater, the capture, like the performances read so beautifully on screen, but acting for camera is very different for acting on stage. So why do you think it captures so well? What is different about filming a stage show that means you don't have to act like you're acting for camera?
Well, there's just that bigness, being able to, and it's just being able to be fully present. You know what I mean? For camera, yes, they catch your angles. Like when I shoot The Good Fight, for instance, and as a Broadway performer, I had to really be conscious of it not being like this, even with the little things that I say, of really, really having to pull it in. But the beauty of filming for Broadway is that you can just be your full self. You can be your full body self. You can be your full voice self. You can, and it's up to the film crew to capture that the way it needs to be captured. You literally don't have to pull it in and be aware of what you're doing. You can just be, and I'm not sure. I used to think, oh, I love theater because I can be that way. But now, having done, getting ready to do the third season for me personally of The Good Fight, it's a different kind of pleasure that I'm getting from having to adjust my way of acting. And for me, it's late in life to be doing television, because I'm already in my 60s trying to make this move to TV and, having been big all my life. So it's like, okay. And I watch Audra and I watch Christine, because they're theater people. They are theater people, and I watch how they have, oh my God, they're amazing. They've honed it to a point of, wow, I hope I can come off that way, because it still has that energy of being on Broadway. It still has that kind of energy, but just not a big energy, So I'm having a ball with having to now do this whole shift of, okay, how do I get this across? The intensity too. I had a great scene in this last season, and I was sitting there going, oh my God, I know this is good. I'm doing good work right now.
Little pat on the back for me.
Yes. How often can you really make a shift into another genre, another way of working, and go, oh, I feel good about this. I hope it's really coming off good. Well, but the energy and the intensity, I hope it's coming off that way. And it was. I was very proud of it. And even like Kush Jumbo came to me and she said, that was really good. And I was like, thank you.
Oh my goodness, that set must be amazing.
It is.
All of you amazing women who've
Oh
had
my God.
incredible careers in all different
Yeah.
areas. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
In that one space. It's electrical. It's electrifying. It really is. Sitting around the conference table with all of them. I remember
Oh,
my
your table
first
read.
time. Oh my God. Oh my God. And of course, my very, very first scene in season 3 was around the table with Delroy Lindo and all of them. And it was an arguing scene. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad it was an arguing scene, because if I had to literally do a separate scene, I was just learning how to pull it in, but it was good.
Oh, that's so thrilling. I love it. Just a couple more questions on Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that there was a person with a body camera
Mm-hmm.
that was on the stage. There was a crane in the theater,
It was a big crane, and
some
then there was a
shots from the wings.
stationary camera all the way in the back, from what I remember. So they had the stationary, they had the crane, and then I think they had 2 guys with the body cameras, so they can get from either side. It was so exciting.
That must have been a crazy rehearsal that, like, you're so used to moving in a certain way after 5 years of doing the show, and now you're adding extra moving bodies. And I know it's like such a well-oiled machine backstage.
Yes, but everything was choreographed. You know what I mean? So the cameramen were choreographed so that they knew, oh, they're backing up now, so they would back up with us, and it was quite something. It really,
so was it
really was.
You had 1 or 2 rehearsals with the cameras?
I want to say we had a couple, because the show is just so everywhere,
and moving set pieces and curtains.
And the band that came downstage and went back on stage. So I want to say we had maybe 4 or 5 rehearsals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want to say that, because they really wanted to capture it, So it was fun.
That must have been exhausting, but I'm assuming rehearsing during the day and then
but still exciting.
Night.
Still so exciting, because we didn't know what to expect either. Once you get the audience in there, and it was really good. I'm glad we were able to do it, looking back.
And you clearly watched Smokey Joe's Cafe after it was filmed when it aired?
I did. I don't think we got to see it until it was finished. So I don't think we did like a special viewing of it or anything. I can't even remember that. But to see ourselves, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be forever. And I'm proud of it. I'm very, very proud of it, because it was a special show.
I'm so thankful that it's available to us, because I was still living in Sydney, Australia when it was on Broadway. It was a long time before I came to New York. I wouldn't have been able to see it if it hadn't been recorded.
Wow.
So coming toward the end, I have a series of quick questions for you.
Okay.
The rules are, if there are rules, don't think about it too much. There's no right or wrong answer, and just sort of answer as quickly as you can.
Okay.
So, do you have a favorite musical?
Chicago. Other than Smokey Joe's, yes, Chicago. Yeah.
Can I ask why it's your favorite?
Well, it's my favorite visually because it's just stunning. It's my favorite to do because, again, as a dancer, I was able to sing, dance, act, do a little comedy, and be sexy and funny. So that, and the company that I was in the beginning that went out right after the movie I felt like it was my company. I was able to do that. And yet I was able to come back to Broadway, and that was my company. And we had an amazing time because I was in the show when Barack Obama was nominated, and the presidential, all of that was going on, and our theater was just buzzing. It was so funny. They knew how much I loved Barack, and they would tease me. They would bring me pictures of him. My stage manager, David Heislip, God, I love him. He brought me he brought me a picture of Barack with his signature saying, "Brenda, I love you. Thank you so much." But it was supposedly from Barack Obama, love Barack. But it was such an electrifying time. And then I was also there when they started to like plug in different other actors. So I was able to do the show with Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks' wife, and Usher and all those people, which brought a whole nother kind of excitement to it. So it was my favorite on many levels. Yeah.
It's also one of my personal favorite shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it's just, that score is so glorious.
It's amazing. And watching one of I have several Roxys that I love, but one of my favorite is Charlotte Demois. Oh my God, we had so much fun. And I've done it with BB too. BB actually did Roxy while I was doing Velma. I was a nervous wreck because it's BB Newworth, right? But we have since become really good friends. But doing it with Charlotte Demois and watching her do the Roxy number with the boys and everything, because she would ad-lib, brilliant ad-lib. But she had one night that she was just going on and ad-libbing, and she went out into the audience and was messing with the audience and everything. But she went to run and jump back on the stage and miscalculated.
Oh no.
she miscalculated and just went bam right into the stage and ended up rolling back onto the stage. And she just laid there for a minute while the music was dun 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 dun, and we were backstage laughing so hard, but she got back up and she finished the number. But I love her so much for that. But
Chicago is a show that I would love. I have a dream of box sets that I want, like I want every show to be filmed with every cast, and I want a box set. So I want the box set with you and BB, and, and every person that's ever played Roxy in Velma.
Right.
I want every version filmed, and I want that night.
Yes. Yes. I have fun with BB.
Charlotte does not want that night on camera, but
Oh yeah, I have fun with BB too. I used to eat Tootsie Rolls all the time, little mini Tootsie Rolls. And one night I came out and I'm getting ready to do I Can't Do It Alone. And BB's sitting there as Roxy, and she had like a Tootsie Roll earring. And I was like, I can't believe you got that on your ear right now. Oh, so much fun. So much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, I don't know if I could keep a straight face.
I know, but it was fun.
Professional. Do you have a favorite filmed live musical?
No, I don't, because I haven't seen Hamilton yet, so I'm sure that'll be my favorite.
Not sure.
Yeah.
This is something I ask all my guests.
Mm-hmm.
If filmed live theater, it's not exactly theater and it's not exactly film, what should we call it?
Oh God, I don't know. I think that's a good name for it though, because don't they already have Broadway Live? Yeah, so
there's so many, like there's
so many different,
call it captures or transmission or live in HD, or there's various terms for it. But I think there's no sort of set name for it. And people still don't know what this is.
Right.
And there's so much resistance to it because I don't think we've named it yet. But I'm very curious. We very briefly touched on bootlegs earlier. Mm-hmm. What do you think about bootlegs?
That's interesting because while of course, financially, that's hard for us because it's our image and we should be compensated for it. But again, like you were saying, there's so many people that we don't even realize can't afford to buy a DVD or to get a DVD so I don't know. I hate that it's bootlegged and the people who are on the bootleg are not compensated. But I feel for people who would never, like you said, never have gotten to see anything or to experience a Broadway show, or so I'm kind of on the fence. Yeah.
What do you wish had been filmed?
I do wish that Jelly's had been filmed. Jelly's Last Jam had been filmed. Someone had a little snippet of one of the scenes that I had done. They just put it up on Facebook, and I was like, wow, yes, that was really a good show. And I wish it had been filmed too, because Gregory's not with us anymore. And watching Gregory and Savion dance together was just amazing. In rehearsals, just watching the two of them, old school versus new school, and they were both beasts at what they did. And it's unfortunate that we did not get to really capture that. Yeah, it's you do have Lincoln Center and all of that, but still, if they had done it like they did a Smokey Joe's Cafe, it would have just been so much fun.
Going forward, what would you like to see filmed in the future?
Ooh, good questions. My God. I don't know. Wow. I think I would like to do Chicago and have a film of myself doing Chicago.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I would like that to happen. Definitely.
Who would you cast as your Roxy?
Ooh, that's a hard one, because Bianca Marroquin, I love Bianca Marroquin. She was one of my best good girlfriends. And I watched her grow in the role. But as I said, I love doing it with Charlotte Dembois, because there was a kind of natural synergy between the two of us. And I think age-wise, comedic ability-wise, the naturalness of how she delivers lines. And I love the fact that she does not take herself too seriously. There were times when she would come on stage and I would just, our first scene, and I'd be like, hey, you, get out of my chair. And she would just be, her wig would be all askew sometimes. And it's just, her lash would be weird. And she would just look up to me and just go, what? Oh, but just the naturalness of, I'd be like, get out of my chair. And she'd be like, oh, Velma Kelly. Oh, I'm sorry. And it was just so natural. She and I, really, really natural.
Okay, I second this. So we're going to write to the producers of Chicago and beg, please,
get it done.
Brenda Braxton. Absolutely. Do you have any upcoming projects that we can look out for?
Actually, tomorrow I'm doing Stars in the House with Seth Rudetsky, and we have some of the original people from Smokey Joe's Cafe. So that's at 8:00 on YouTube, Stars in the House. What else? Of course, you can see The Good Fight, all seasons now, that show is amazing. What else? I think that's pretty much it right now, because COVID has just stopped everything in its tracks. I don't know if you know, I had a barbershop I opened it in 2006. It was called B. Braxton's Exceptional Grooming for Exceptional Men. And we were trying to do that again here in Harlem, because Marriott is going up, and it's a whole project that they're doing with the Apollo Theater, Dance Theater of Harlem, and it was a whole project. And in the retail space, I was going to reopen my B. Braxton's, but now even that has blown up, because rents who can afford rents now? And it's just crazy. But we're thinking maybe next year we still might try and do that. We're still in talks with it, but everything is just up in the air.
Yeah. In the meantime, listeners can watch Brenda on Stars in the House. There's several episodes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Seth will let me do a few more, especially with the whole theme of Act 2, because that's my theme, is Act 2. What are people doing now in the second act of this whole thing, of their life, their career, or whatever? And when I started Act 2, it was mainly for women over 50, trying to figure out, okay, what's next? I know I have all of this knowledge with some of the stuff that I'm doing. What do I do now? Or performers who are in that second act of, okay, I can't do a split. I can't do high kicks. I can't do, where do I go now? What do I do? Do I now start doing television more, which I'm very happy to have, latched on to The Good Fight, because we will be filming season 5. I'm thinking season 5 in the fall, but not everyone has been able to make that transition. So Act 2 Now What was about that. And I'm hoping that Seth will let me, continue doing something like that.
I hope so. And the guests that you've brought on have been so much fun. It's so wonderful to hear all your stories and behind the scenes. It's wonderful.
Oh, when Anne Rankin said she would come on, I was like, are you sure? Really? And I've had BB on and Valerie Pettiford and, just really good people. Good people. So I hope he allows me to continue that.
I hope so too. Brenda, thank you so much for your time today. It has been so much fun chatting with you.
Absolutely. And we have to stay in touch and all of that.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Bye.
Filmed Live Musicals is a labor of love, and we'd like to thank everyone who makes it possible. Thank you to our patrons Josh Brandon, Mercedes Esteban, Jesse Rabinowitz and Brenda Goodman, Al Monaco, David and Catherine Rabinowitz, and Beck Twist for your support. If you'd like to support Filmed Live Musicals, please like and review on your podcast app. Find us on Twitter at Musicals on Screen and on Facebook at Filmed Live Musicals. If you'd like to support the site financially, you can find us at patreon.com/musicalsonscreen. No matter what level you're able to pledge, you'll receive early access to written content and early access to this very podcast. Visit www.filmedlivemusicals.com to learn more. Thanks for listening.